Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Way Up Trading. Now, today, we want to go over the moves that took place today with Fed Chair Powell on the stand, testifying on the inflation fears and inflation data that was coming in over the last few weeks and where things are set to potentially go in the future. A lot of things moved really violently today to the downside just based off the fears of what he may or may not say, and it all shows itself on the charts. We're going to be going over how things played out on the SPY that took a turn for the worse when Fed Chair Powell opened his mouth and said the types of things that Fed Chair Powell likes to say.
Dump it.
We're going to be going over all that and more right after this.
What, sell? Dump it now. Dump it all.
All right, I got the SPY pulled up here on the 4-hour time frame just to get an idea of how things are looking on a longer time frame. I know it looks like a mess, like a lot of things going on in the chart, but believe me, there is a rhyme to and reason to what you're seeing here. All of these lines basically represent either supports or resistances, major breakpoint areas to the up and down side. And I'm basically going to start off by just naming the golden areas. To the right side of my screen here, you'll see I have plenty of purple lines, purple boxes here with prices marked off, which basically represent the different purple lines of support and resistance. And then the gold lines you have here are going to be what I call the golden zone that we're sitting in. So right now we have the bottom end of the golden zone. I'd call it at 433.65. Very top of the golden zone for the time being, 451.25. So as of right now, you can see that we have now on the daily chart, just about I put the 23-hour chart here just so I can include the after hours moves, but we have the daily chart roughly showing that we are now bounced off of the 9 EMA on the daily chart after this full retracement of that area 443, which is a very large area to break. There was no way we were going to break that on the first initial try, even on this bullish setup that we had here throughout the last couple of weeks. Six rejections on that particular location, 6 rejections and 6 points of support in the last 2 years at the 443 mark. So again, we need a little time obviously to break that. A reaccumulation was going to be necessary in order to gather enough strength and push right through it. But right now you can see it, we bounced off of the 9 EMA, which is a good thing. We don't want to lose and break below this area, or else we're going to hit that 433 mark and things are going to start to look really bad. That will confirm that this would be considered to be a distribution, and we'd start heading toward the downside to about $400 to $395. All right, but being that we're right now finding support here on the 9 EMA, it's a huge opportunity for this thing to start to turn around. And I'm going to go and pull back my drawing. You can see now we're in a situation where if we do get this continued bounce, we would now be playing this red and green rising wedge that we have here, which I would see broader and broader, a very broad reaccumulation type of move that would take place roughly back to about 440, finding support hopefully around here before potentially breaking to the upside and moving towards this 450 mark. One case scenario. The other case scenario, if they do break that 9 EMA, we would start basically playing back down towards the 430 mark and playing the top side of this wedge once again. This will be our second time testing this broadening top pattern that we've had traced back ever since our move up to about the 430 mark, 433 mark, and we'd start to play this broadening top test once again. You can see the last time we actually tested the broadening top, that was the confirmation of the move after playing that A, B, C, D, E move, partial decline, and then go. The retest is what brought us all the way up to that 443 mark where we touched and were rejected, and now forming this new pattern right here at the 9 EMA. If this new pattern holds, like I mentioned before, it would be a reaccumulation style setup, and we'd get one more higher high before everything starts to come back down, in my opinion. Now, is 479, 480 possible? Anything's possible right now with the way stocks are moving, especially some of the big blue chips, as well as what's happening with the sector on the semiconductors. But the time is coming where this may come to a halt. We just don't know how long it's going to take. So we got to pay close attention to how things move over the next couple of weeks. What kind of things are being discussed throughout the economy, the Fed, inflation, war, all of these things in between, because those are going to have a big effect on how things move to the downside. But news is going to be the only thing that I can see, drastic news is going to be the only thing that I can see pulling the SPY down and the rest of the economy and the rest of the market down in such a dramatic fashion for us to move down to these lows. If it's going to be, it doesn't look technical at all. It's going to be something around those lines of just bad news. So we'll see. It'd have to be really drastic bad news, because obviously we're on a downtrend on inflation, so that can't be it. We're most likely moving out of a recession situation, which we most likely have been in the last couple of years here, so I don't think that's it. It would have to be something very drastic, so do keep your head on the swivel, do pay attention to what's happening in the economy as well as what's going on with the world economics, because that's going to be the only thing that I can see that pulls this down pretty drastically. Fears are still there. Bears are still there. You know, everyone's waiting to catch the top, but be careful playing that, because you still are in a situation where this can turn around very quickly and you can be roasted if you try to play the downside too quick. And moving over to the 15-minute time frame, just so we can see how action moved throughout the day. And you basically had over the last day on Tuesday, you can see we had this bounce off of the smooth moving average up. They were rejected. Obviously, we all kind of knew that we were going to be going into a situation where we had Powell speaking, but you had those big moves on some of the blue chips like Tesla, Apple, and a lot of different things were running yesterday. But a lot of folks were taking profits on the way back down after we got that bounce off of that's the 435 mark, which is again that golden zone area we talked about a little bit earlier. The 435 mark, we bounced up, hit the 200 moving average on the 15-minute time frame. We're never able to quite break back above it, and it was easy to see that there was a cross in the 15-minute time frame in pre-market, which basically led this whole thing down. Powell took the stance somewhere just about after the opening, and the fears were all there, all around it. So this thing just continued to waterfall down all the way until about the 434, just about the 433 mark, before bouncing back up toward the end of the day, reclaiming the smooth moving average on the 15-minute time frame in this W style setup here. You can see this W style setup here, bounced just about touching the 200 moving average on the 15-minute time frame, and then selling off once again back into the end of the day on high volume as it normally does, and kind of coasting right now roughly about a negative 0.51% day, closing at about 434.94. You could have played this thing to the downside very easily. It melted down pretty quickly and held a 9 EMA all the way down. If you would have bought puts at open, you would have been a smart person. You basically would have been able to make some quick money on this move down. We'll move to the 5-minute time frame to firm it. The 921 cross took place in the morning. We'll actually even double it up. We'll double check the 1348 cross as well. Underneath the 200 moving average, we got the 921 cross in the morning. Confirmation on the 1348 cross down in the morning. And that was basically all you needed to see. Held the 9 EMA all the way down on this move right at open. We had a quick pop upwards to the golden area of 436, and then from there it was just all the way down to about 434. That would have been a huge move if you played 0 DTE or 0 contract expiration date. Even a 1 DTE would have done you really well just by seeing that momentum move to the downside. You could also have played to the upside as well later on. So there were 2 opportunities to make money on this particular move on just the SPY alone, outside of several other tickers that were going on throughout the day. Later on in the day, you can see he actually also had an opportunity at about 1:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right after Powell actually spoke, to play the upside to catch the move towards the 200 moving average, roughly from about the 435 mark all the way up to about just about 437, before it retraced and sold off into the end of the day. So 2 opportunities to the downside, 1 to the upside on the SPY. Great moves could have been made, but just something to be mindful of. Going in the next couple days, what I can see is basically this thing continuing to reaccumulate. This line that I have here, this blue line, you can see again, this is the broadening top pattern we talked about earlier. Retest once again, and potentially getting ready for the next push up back to retest that 443 area over the next few days. So we're gonna keep an eye on this thing. You know, be safe out here. You do see in that pattern, we also can see here it is looking like a possible head and shoulders is starting to form on this move. So bears would love this thing to play out. If this neckline does not hold, like I mentioned earlier, in the golden zone of 433.65, prepare for this downward move on this head and shoulders to take place, and we go all the way back down to $400.
The market's crashing.
No.
So be mindful, pay attention. Watch the blue chips. Watch what's happening with the broader economy. Keep an eye out on potential setups. As we mentioned, momentum plays. If you're interested in getting involved with a group, the Way Up Trading Group, it's not different plays that we catch throughout the day. We go over it within the group. We talk about it. We learn from each other. We sharpen our skills, and we make money on the way up. Way Up Trading could possibly be for you. Link is down in the description. That pretty much wraps up the video. If you like content like this, please go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Join us on the way up. We're going to be here every single day, growing our portfolios together and making the outcome income for 2023. Like, comment, subscribe, leave your questions down. I can answer them as soon as possible. And we're going to catch you on the next video. Peace.